Can you make a profit trading in the stock market, trading Forex, trading commodities, trading crypto, trading any of those nice little things, even buying shares? If you have the right mindset, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to do it. I'm going to go to the charts, I'm going to show you a few trades, and then afterwards I'm going to show you the strategy that will make you the money in the market. So you have to get through the charts first, and then I'll show you a little bit about how you can actually make the money in the markets. Hey, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob. For those of you who do know me, I'm still Rob. And guess what? It's Coffee with Rob. So we're having some coffee, and then we're going to go and talk about this. Lovely stuff. Always got to have some coffee before you get started on any video. Otherwise, you know, what the hell? Guys, just remember, trading's 50-50. 50% of the time when you take a trade, you got a chance of winning, and 50% of the time when you take a trade, you got a chance of losing. And the whole point of trading is you've got to learn to lose to make money in the market. Trading is risky. If you don't like risk, you probably shouldn't be trading. Let's go and have a look at the charts, and I'll show you a few trades. And then after I've showed you those few trades, we'll talk about how you can actually make money in the markets. Let's have a look at these trades, and let's just see what we've got here. Now, this Japanese yen trade, the USD JPY, we took this trade based on the fact we had a trend running through here, which effectively got broken. So the structure got broken, and it sort of came through here. Let me just move this out of the way. So the structure broke. It broke through the structure and it started heading to the downside. So that to me looked like it was going short. And then it broke through pretty much it bounced off a resistance, and it broke down from that trend support and started heading to the downside. And that gave me the signal to look at the short. But then I also looked at this big gap down the bottom here where it bounced up, and also there's a range that it's been trading in, and I looked at the range. It's broken above that major resistance that it was, and that's now become a support, headed on up, and it just looked like it was overbought. It gave me the signal to say, you know what, let's take this trade to the downside. So now we've been in this trade from downside for quite a while, looking decent and heading on towards our target down here. The stop loss pretty close, well, in this area here, an invalidation area, nice and safe, and with the take profit down at the lower areas here. What's that, 442? Now if you look at this, I've moved the stop loss because the stop loss was up here. I've moved the stop loss down into profit because this trade is in profit. This trade was heavily in profit when I moved the stop loss down to here. So now there's no loss on this trade. So this trade is managed, and it is now moving into a decent profit. So that's as easy as your trading gets, and that's as easy as the whole scenario is. Taking a trade like that, then you can look at a losing trade like the United States dollar, South African rand, and this is clearly my fault. What I did was I looked at this as in a bullish trend. So we trade three ways. We trade with a trend, we trade in a range, and we counter trade. Now what's happened here, this bounced up, it bounced to the upside. This looked like a good long trade because it was in structure. So I took the long trade, and it bounced off this major resistance that we have at the top here. You know how we trade the resistance and draw the resistance and the support in. If you don't know, go and look at my previous videos. They do show you. If you look at this, there's a big resistance across the top here, which it hit a number of times, which means there's loads of money there pushing it down. It hit that, pushed it down, and now what's happened is it's now broken through my support, and it's broken structure to the other side, which means I might have to relook this trade and decide whether I should stay in this trade or whether I should actually dump this trade and get out of it for a very small loss. But that said, the loss is at 1% of this account, which is fair. We work around that scenario. So that's how that trade was taken. So that's not the best of trades, obviously. Then we got the German DAX today looking like it was going short. So we looked at the short trade here. It came down, went back, retested, bounced off the resistance. This resistance level was drawn from the daily chart. We're on the 4-hour chart. So we're drawing on the daily chart. And there's your support on this trade. So what we looked at, quite simple. It goes up. It hits the top. It's in a bullish trend, breaks through the trend support, comes down, goes back up, retests the resistance, not only the resistance, but also the trend resistance, and comes down. Short trade, there she goes, all the way down, short, 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 still short, starting to look like it wants to break there, but it is still short, and it looks like it will continue on down from here unless it breaks to the upside and then goes the other way. So this is a short trade as we stand. So if you take that, that's basically your short trade there, looking down, and your target is down at the bottom there. So that's quite a long target for quite a short stop loss. So that's actually a decent trade. Then you have something like gold. Gold, everybody's into gold. Gold, we look at the long trade because it broke through the trend resistance. It breaks up through the trend resistance here, starts heading to the upside. You take the long trade, goes all the way up. Target was higher up. It has come back and started to get a bit iffy, and it's coming down to the bottom levels here, but it's retested this trend. What is now support was resistance, bounced back up, and is now heading back up to the upside over there. So it's looking like it wants to go up now and start heading back in the up direction. So that's basically that trade. So that one's looking quite decent at the end of the day. What happened with Bitcoin was quite interesting. Bitcoin went into a bearish mode, dropped through, broke through this trend support and started heading down towards the 110 again. What it also did, shoulder, head, shoulder, created a head and shoulders, broke to the downside, but it is staying within that trend. Now what it's doing, coming back up to the top of the trend, very good chance that this is going to break down again, as it has to go past that prior high of that shoulder before that head and shoulders will be negated. So Bitcoin has been a short trade up until this point. So that's just looking at the trades, guys, just looking at where we stand, what we're looking at as we stand at the moment. Not looking too bad. The euro US dollar was in a bearish trend, broke down, came back up, and it's now broken through the trend resistance, heading to the upside, come back down to retest, long trade to the upside, and up she goes, heading towards resistance. That's absolutely perfect. Let's go and talk about, though, how you can actually make the money in the markets, because these trades are easy. You sort of look at it and you say, well, it's going up from here, and I think it's going up. I feel like it's going up, so I'll take a trade and I'll make a profit going up from here. But how do you actually manage these trades so that you can make a profit? How do you actually manage this so that you can actually take money out of the market? Let's go and talk about that as we stand at the moment. Come along, guys. Let's go and chat about that. Now that you've had a look at the charts and you've got an idea of what a system is, you've got an idea of how you can take a trade. A trade is very much, if you take it on a chart, it's very much a 50-50 thing. At the end of the day, a chart can't predict the future. You can't predict the future. In fact, no one can predict the future. The aha moment came to me many years ago when I was much younger, when the old men like myself came to me and said, Rob, you can't time the market. It's time in the market. And I never really quite grasped what they were saying at the time. That basically what you got to do is invest, and you've got to have time in the market, because that's how you're going to make a profit in the market. But if you want to trade, and at that time I wanted to trade, and you want to make money today, not in 30 years time, you've got to think of a way to make money without having to wait and time the market. You want to try and time the market, but now that's impossible. They've told you can't do that. There's no way you can time the market. What am I going to do? Well, the only thing that you can do, and the aha moment came to me, is you've got to have a business plan and a strategy around what you're doing with leverage trading and timing the market. If you're going to try and time the market, that's not going to happen, but you want to make a profit, and you want to make a profit now. The only way to do that is with a proper plan. And the first thing you have to understand is you need capital in the market. You can't just get into the stock market with no capital and expect to make some kind of form of profit. With $1,000, you get in there and you think, I've got leverage trading, so now I can trade $10,000 and suddenly I'm going to make thousands and thousands of dollars. Doesn't work like that. What you normally do is end up losing the $1,000 that you put into the market instead of winning the thousands and thousands of dollars that you were expecting to make in the market. The first thing you have to understand in the market is that you are going to lose. You are going to lose in the market. You're not always going to win. And if you understand that you are going to lose, then you start to win. You see, think of a coin flip. If I was to flip a coin 10 times, and I was to say to you that it's going to land on heads 5 times, it's going to land on tails 5 times, you'd probably say, yeah, that's a possibility, that's a probability, that's normally what's going to happen. But if I told you for every time it landed on heads, I'll give you 2, and on tails, we'll take 1, there isn't a person in the world that wouldn't take that trade or wouldn't take that bet. And basically, I would choose heads because it's all in my favor. Of course it is. I'm going to get 2 for every heads that it lands on. So even if it only lands on there 3 times, I'm actually making a profit. That's the idea behind making a profit with trading. I've been doing this for 34 years. This is not something I started with today. And I realized that the only way you can actually make a profit is to have a proper strategy and a proper business plan. If you were going to open a shop down the road, the first thing you would do is think, how much capital do I need? Do I need staff? Where do I want to put the shop? What am I going to call it? Am I going to put stock in? Am I going to have tools? A whole bunch of questions that you're going to have about that business. Yet you don't ask those questions when it comes to trading. When it comes to trading, you just go, you know what? I'll just start trading and I'll just click this button and I'll make a profit. Because I did a course and that guy showed me on these squiggly lines that I can win 7 trades out of 10. What he didn't tell you is a win rate doesn't make you money, because if you win 7 trades out of 10, doesn't mean you made a profit. What it means is you won 7 trades. The idea behind that is now you've won 7 trades at $10 each, so you're $70 in profit. You're making a fortune. You can retire on that $70, man. And then on the 8th trade, you lose $1,000 and you think, well, what happened there? No plan, no idea, just trading. And you've got a win rate of 7 out of 10. So you're an absolute genius, aren't you? That's the problem that you have. If you don't have a plan and you don't know where you're going with this, there's no way on earth that you can actually make money. The plan is really simple, guys, and that is to make more on your wins and lose less on your losses. Now, my simple business plan is not 1,000 pages, it's not 100 pages, it's not 50 pages. It's literally a 3-step business plan, and the business plan is this. And overall, the overall overarching idea on the 3 steps is make more on your wins and lose less on your losses. And the way to do that is to take an account size. Let's say you have a $100,000 account and you have this $100,000 account. So, I've got $100,000. There we go. I'm going to trade this $100,000. First thing you do is make a decision not to change the size of the account, whether it goes up or down. That's the account size that you are applying to your plan, applying to your business plan. And if you want to change that account size, you have to change the business plan. Get it? So you can let the account size grow. You can let the account size go down. You can take the profits out, put the profits in. Doesn't matter. You're trading with a round figure, and that figure is $100,000. What you do is you say, I'm going to risk 1% on every single trade. I'm not going to risk 10%. I'm not going to risk 2%. I'm not going to risk 0.5%. I'm going to risk 1% on every single trade. No matter how comfortable I am with that trade and how uncomfortable I am with that trade, I'm going to keep the risk the same on every single trade. Problem being here, many of you, what you do is you feel comfortable with this trade, so you trade more on it, and you feel uncomfortable with that trade, so you trade less on it, and you end up losing the one you were comfortable with, so you end up with bigger losses, and that's not what you want. Now, you don't have to trade 1%. You can trade any percentage you want. You can trade 2%, 10%, 20%. I don't care what you trade per trade, as long as you keep the risk the same. Just remember that if you do trade 10% on leverage trading, 10 trades, you probably lose the whole account or the whole 100,000. So do be careful on that. But if you're trading 1%, then you're risking $1,000 per trade. That way, if you lose 10 trades in a row, you only lose 10% of the account. You only lose $10,000. You haven't lost your arms or your legs or anything. You're actually still in the game. You can still carry on. Can you lose 10 trades in a row? Yes, of course you can. Can you win 10 trades in a row? Of course you can. There's always a way to make money in the markets. But the simple way to do it is to follow the process, follow the plan. Now, I don't say that when you choose your risk, it has to be exactly $1,000. It can be $1,050. It can be $950. As long as it's close to that level and you've got an idea of where you're trading and how much you're losing on any particular trade, as close to $1,000 as possible. Now you'll say to me, but I want a tight stop loss, a fast stop loss, or this stop loss, or that stop loss. How am I going to get it to $1,000? That's not how you work with stop loss, guys. It's an invalidation area, and that's not how you work with invalidation areas. What you do is you say, I want to trade that. You pick that trade. You say, this is the trade I'm going to trade. I want to trade this. Now you look at the trade, you say, what point on that trade would I say if the price got there, my trade's invalid, I wouldn't want to trade it, I wouldn't want to go that way, I wouldn't want to go long or short on that trade if the price hit that point. That's your stop loss. That's where you want your stop loss. Now you pick that point, then you work out the size of your trade. You work out how big is my trade back to the cost. That's your $1,000 stop loss. If your broker's not offering you broken or mini contracts or broken trades or whatever the case, then either you have got the wrong broker or you've got loads and loads and loads of money, in which case you'll be trading with larger amounts anyway. If you don't have a lot of money, if you don't have millions, then you should choose a broker that will give you mini contracts, that will give you broken up trades so that you can risk $1,000. You don't have to risk $10,000. Now you work out how many lots, how many contracts, how many pairs, how many pips, whatever the case, all the way up to the cost, and that's the size of your trade. Now all you've got to do, the third part of the plan is so easy. All you've got to do is manage the trade. You've got to decide, will I make more on this than I would lose? So in other words, I've got to be able to make more than $1,000. Now I don't say to you, you've got to make 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 5 to 1, or anything like that. All I say to you is at least 1 to 1 or more. In other words, you've got to make $1,000 or more. Why would you risk $1,000 to try and profit $100? That's a form of insanity which makes no sense to anyone but you. You've got to make more in the wins. You've got to have a bigger win than you have in the loss. So now you look at the trade and say, well, if I was to take this trade, I could make $1,500 on this trade easily if I look at the way the chart's running on this system. And at the bottom, I would lose $1,000. That's my risk. When it moves up into profit, and it's way up into profit, take the stop loss and move it up to cost, so then the trade's costing you nothing. Just remember, every single time you take a trade and you put that $1,000 stop loss in there, just remember that you're paying $1,000 for that trade. Effectively, you are paying $1,000 for that trade. And if you can get that off your books, if you can get that to zero or cost, that's actually a bonus. That's actually already quite a big win for you. You're already halfway there. And that's as easy as it gets. That's how you make money in the markets. And this is how I've been doing it for years and years and years. When the aha moment came to me that you can't time the market, you have to have time in the market, but I want to time the market. How am I going to do that? Easy. Have a plan to make profit. Forget about the charts and the numbers and things like that. All that does is it allows you the opportunity to take a trade. It allows you the opportunity to manage a trade. It allows you to pick a stop loss. It allows you to take profit, draw a line in the sand, and give you a good feeling that you're going in the right direction when you take the trade. Because if you didn't have that, you would just be going, I'll just trade that and see what happens. But if you've got a chart, you can look at what happened in the past and you can think, well, that might happen in the future again. And I'll trade based on what happened in the past. Will in all probability happen again in the future. And then I've got this comfort inside of me that I'm actually taking a trade that's going to work in my favor. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. If you're looking for trade of the day every day, guys, go and join the members area. I've got a members area in the description that will help you on a regular basis. And obviously we've got the Telegram channel and everything going there. And I've got my live shows on Tuesday and Thursday for you. That will help you insanely. And if you've watched the video this far, don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you don't have capital and you want to trade, and you're in this thing and you say, oh, I want to get into trading, but I don't have the capital that Rob said I need to trade, you can always buy a prop firm or funded account and practice your skills and get better at it, because and get profit sharing from those guys. If you need a prop firm account, I do have links in the description for you there. You can go and grab them, and that might help you along the way. So on that note, guys, thanks for watching. Make lots of money. Enjoy the trading. Have fun. Get in there and make it fun. Don't make it a chore. It's not all just about making money. It's also a very addictive skill, and it's a lot of fun to be trading. So make lots of money, and I'll see you guys soon. Catch you on the rebound. Cheers, ciao, and bye.